What do you have that your comrades don't?
A cape.
These videos are not for children. If you're a children, then piss off.
Hey there, it's me, your least favorite YouTuber, the Infuso. Back at it again with yet another Batman video on yet another Batman movie that I've yet to see. Now, I bought this movie back on day one, but we're now on year 2 of me having this, and I still haven't seen it. Much like Gotham by Gaslight, this movie is another Elseworlds Batman tale. This time taking place in the 1970s, taking very obvious inspiration from kung fu flicks and James Bond movies. A fact that is made very evident before the opening credit sequence even begins.
And you are?
Dragon. Richard Dragon.
Now, just by hearing all of this, I think you can probably already tell that this is a very, very different type of Batman story. But the truth of the matter is, this is barely a Batman story at all. I think my biggest issue with the movie is that it's a Batman movie in name only. Bruce isn't even introduced or brought into this movie until we've already had a few scenes with our main protagonist, who is not Batman, and our main antagonist, who is also not Batman. I don't know why he would be. A whole 10 minutes of runtime is devoted to Richard Dragon and this dude who kinda resembles a cobra, making Bruce feel like a little bit of an afterthought when he finally shows up. And then that fact is cemented by the rest of the movie. Even in the opening credits, he's taking a backseat to the other characters. In a weird way, Batman feels like an unneeded addition in what is allegedly his own movie. I really think that you could just take Batman out of the equation altogether, and it really wouldn't affect all that much. Like, if you replaced Batman in this with any other DC character, or hell, an original made-up character for this movie, it doesn't change anything. By the end of the movie, it really feels like the only reason Batman was added into the mix at all is so they can include him on the cover and in the trailers. Let's face it, if you name something Batman, it's much more likely to sell. Case in point, me buying this movie the day it came out, despite having no immediate intention of watching it. To take it a step further, Bruce is only in the suit for less than a handful of scenes. Like, we're talking about 3, maybe 4 tops. Batman being involved in this plot is such a non-factor. He's a side character who could have easily been replaced by just about anybody. No one else is in a costume in this movie until like one scene at the end, and it's only one other person. So he stands out and feels completely out of place in what is, once again, supposed to be his own movie. He doesn't feel important or specific to the plot. He doesn't feel like he has his own story arc. He doesn't even really get any time to shine during the runtime of the film. This is not a Batman movie. This is a Richard Dragon movie disguised and purposed as a Batman movie. Like, honestly, I could probably do the rest of this review without ever mentioning the Caped Crusader again. That's how inconsequential he is in his own movie. He's not the main character, he's not what the story is about. Hell, he's not even the one who saves the day at the end of the movie. I'm gonna be honest with you, this movie really wasn't catching my attention at first. As someone who's never been too deep into the James Bond series, or Bruce Lee movies, or the 1970s in general, I guess, it just wasn't doing it for me. Then you add on top of that the lack of Batman in what is being promoted as a Batman movie. I just wasn't a fan of this. But this one scene, this one speech, is where things started to turn around for me. Because I'm such a fan of what this scene represents.
Evil is as eternal as this rock. Even if you break the rock, there will be pebbles. Break the pebbles, there will be sand.
Even after being told that erasing evil is a meaningless effort, even after being told that the rock will never truly, fully break, Bruce doesn't give up. He persists, bloodying his knuckles. Knowing that he is looking at an impossible task, it doesn't stop him. He keeps going, he keeps trying. He still does all that he can. And to me, this is Batman. Batman is never giving up, even when the odds are against you. Even when there is no possible chance of winning, to rise to that challenge one way or another regardless. Batman doesn't fight evil because he knows it's a fight that he'll win. He fights evil because he opposes it. It's not about victory, it's about doing what's right. and doing what's right at any cost. That is Batman. Outside of this, I really like a lot of what is done aesthetically. And I especially like that this Batman more closely resembles Batman in his first ever comic book appearance. It's a nice little touch there. It's cute. I like it. I like this movie's use of DC characters who are less mainstream. It definitely puts a spotlight on the less read pages of DC Comics Encyclopedia. I know I had to look up a name or two myself during. And I even like that it has some actors returning to the roles they played in separate continuities. Michael J. White returns to the role of Bronze Tiger, a role that he played back on Arrow. And Kelly Hu returns to the role that she played in Arkham Origins, that of course being Lady Shiva. I like the structure of the story, going between past and present to play out its plot properly. I'm a fan of this type of storytelling when it's done right. And here, it is definitely done right. This movie balances its timeline well, never devoting too much time to what's already happened or what's currently happening. It also very clearly differentiates its two time periods as well, so it's all very digestible and understandable. It's not like you have to sit down and start taking notes. This isn't Memento. Another trope this plays on is getting the band back together, and that's a trope that I really like. So the fact that it's basically the focal point of this flick,
I like it.
It takes place in its own world, in its own universe, and it's doing its own thing entirely. If you wanted to see Batman get trained by the League of Assassins, well, you're kinda shit out of luck. Because here, Bruce Wayne was trained by O-Sensei, along with a whole class of other characters, including the well-trained and dedicated deadly ninja and assassin Lady Shiva, the furious fighter Bronze Tiger, the agile agent with attitude Jade, Rip the war hero, and O-Sensei's protege, Richard Dragon, or as I like to call him, Richie the Dragon Steamboat. They train in a monastery where there's a secret passage referred to only as the Gate. It's a forbidden door that is the physical embodiment of the phrase, "Don't ask, don't tell." The mystical doorway is shrouded in mystery, and also mysticism, but I already said that. O-Sensei grants his top student Shiva the Soulbreaker's sword, an item that he entrusts to her, even if he doesn't necessarily trust her enough to reveal its intended purpose. I enjoy the scenes watching this team interact and slowly become a family. Watching them fight through their differences and learning to respect each other in spite of them. Watching them bond and become a unit. It's all great, but I just wish there was a little bit more of it. Regardless, I think this movie did a really good job of explaining its characters and establishing their relationships in just an hour and 22 minutes. For a bunch of characters I didn't know prior to pressing play, I now feel like I have a better understanding of their motivations, their goals, their personalities, and that's no easy task. Especially when considering that's a very limited time to endear an audience to a bunch of C, D, and Z-list characters. Rip eventually betrays the team, stealing the Soulbreaker and killing Jade in the process, all while trying to open the portal. With the use of Soulbreaker, Jade is sacrificed, and the gate opens to reveal...
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
The snake-like demons kill Rip, so... Rip. The team fights off these snake-like demons in a hellish battle, with O-Sensei ultimately sacrificing himself to properly close the portal. Back in present day, a snake cult named Cobra... No, not that one. This one's with a K. Cobra is looking to open up the gateway once more. Because yeah, of course they are. Their name is Cobra. They have a bunch of lame snake-like characters in their cult, which I'm also gonna spell with a K here as well. But this gang is just filled with a bunch of lame asses who have an affinity for serpents.
Snake. I'm a snake. I'm a snake. I'm a snake.
You have its leader, who I think is just called Cobra, once again, with a K. You got a guy whose limb turns into snakes. He has some German name that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce because I'll say it and then I'm not only saying it wrong, but I'm probably saying something offensive. But then again, almost anything in German sounds offensive for some reason. So I'm just going to call him the Human Hydra. You have King Snake, who thought that tattoo was a good idea. And then you have Lady Eve, who is...
She's the useless chick! Oh! Yeah!
So that's the whole class of Slytherin this school year. I like the way this movie depicts its characters. And it kind of gives everyone their own defining moment. The movie tells us a lot about its leads without necessarily always coming right out and saying it. Like the way Richard Dragon uses his intelligence to defeat King Snake by obscuring his hearing and playing mind games with him. Or the way that Shiva loses her sword in battle, but doesn't lose her cool.
Fool, you gave up your weapon.
I am the weapon.
And the way Bronze Tiger shows a moment of true humanity, finding himself unable to murder Cobra as a child, despite knowing that he is destined to do awful things. All of these characters are flawed but likable, and despite their contrasting personalities and interests, when aligned together, they make for a pretty great team. Side note here, there does seem to be some Mortal Kombat shoutouts, like these guys over here who look like a cross between Raiden and Sub-Zero. Of course, this could be a reference to something culturally that I'm completely unaware of. And if that's the case, and you know and I don't, I love to learn. Let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, the first time I saw this, all I can think of was... And it didn't help matters that later in the movie, Shiva goes one-on-one with fucking Kano over here.
Fine. Have it your way.
Overall, I think this is actually a pretty good movie. But it in no way, shape, or form is a good Batman movie. Or even a Batman movie at all. I like this movie a whole lot. I think it's good. I think it's even great. It is absolutely something I would, and probably will, watch again for entertainment purposes alone. I'm not even trying to make money off it. I'm gonna watch it. That's how much I like it. But this is not a Batman movie. This is a movie that has Batman in it. And even then so, just barely. I enjoyed watching this so much that, quite frankly, I'm a little bit bummed out that there's no follow-up. All I'm saying is I wouldn't mind visiting this Elseworld again. And the way this movie ended, the way that they closed it off, it leaves it wide open for a sequel. Not only does it set up the possibility of a sequel, as a matter of fact, I think a sequel is a necessity at this point. It needs one. It needs to happen. Bruce Timm, if you're listening, as you so often do to this channel, don't do me like that, man. I need to know what happens next. You didn't even end this movie. You just started a new one and then went to credits. If you're looking to just sit down and be entertained, I would highly recommend this movie. If you're a diehard Batman fan, then yeah, I would also recommend this movie. But I want you to know what you're getting into. This movie isn't awesome because Batman's in it. It's awesome and Batman just so happens to be in it. A little bit. Anyway, with all that being said, I was your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso. That was Batman Soul of the Dragon, and I thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.
I am vengeance. I am the night, and that was Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day. And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time. Same bat channel.